Hi, everybody. Welcome to Am I the Asshole podcast. I'm joined by my lovely co-host, Sarah. Sarah, how are you today?
I'm pretty good. I can't really complain.
Good to hear, Sarah. I mean, this was a huge week for me. A lot of good stuff happening. Yes.
Great.
A lot of healing.
Okay.
A lot of running. I am now a runner. My max run, I know it's not going to impress you, but I did run 3 miles in one single American day, baby.
That really does impress me because I've never run more than like 2.5 miles. I just like tap out.
Well, I ran 2 miles in one sesh and then 1.25 miles in a second sesh.
Okay, that's still amazing. When I do my one run, I'm like literally done.
And I know you guys are listening to this like, well, what is relevance here, Danny? You're just trying to brag. You're trying to flex about your little runs. We don't care. But let me just say this. And I had a friend, my friend Joanna Hausman, who's very famous, always told me, she goes, don't exercise to get in shape. You do exercise, not really. I mean, if you care about the physical part, good for you. You want to look good for you. But she goes, yeah, exercise for your mental and emotional health. And I got to say, running really fits the bill for me.
I love that. It's great to like find a workout that you connect with. I feel the same. I mean, vanity can only like propel you so far. I pretty much started working out. I mean, just doing the bare minimum so I could like sleep and not feel like a lazy asshole when my legs hurt from literally sitting too much, which is a thing that happens to me.
Same here. Yeah. You know, we're all of us working white collar jobs, fortunate enough to have white collar jobs or to have jobs at all in this day and age. And so in the context here, of course, people is that, you know, I was dumped and so I've got to pull back from the crush. So I'm really trying to show a lot of restraint there. And that's taking a lot of energy. And I'm a little hurt. You know, I've never been dumped before. And so I've kind of got to realize like, okay, well, this is my fault. And what did I do? And how do I proceed? And so the running is helping me kind of get rid of the pain. So I'm going through all of this. I'm running. I'm doing some crying while running, you know, which I also recommend. Yeah, light crying while running.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah.
That would make me so dehydrated. Yeah,
well, I drink a lot of water. That's my one health thing I've always been really good at. Drink a shit ton of water. But anyway, the good news is that I've had some interactions with my ex, and I'm not talking about the crush ex. I'm talking about my 5-year ex.
Shit.
And we settled the score, and I got sweet closure, and I loved it, and it felt really good. I feel a new sense of peace. We both apologize. We apologized pretty much for everything, the things that led to the breakup. I apologized for blocking her, which was brutal. And we really kind of settled things nice and clean. And it was great because it got to a point where, you know, she had seen my post about getting dumped and she kind of told me that about some of her prospects. And I'm being 100% honest here that the closure level was so high that when she told me about her prospects, I was sincerely happy for her.
Wow. Never mind.
Go for it.
Okay, I have like an inappropriate thought, but I'm like, damn, were you guys just both really unhappy for like a long time? Since it's been like not very long and you're already genuinely happy that the other person has moved on?
No. I think that she realized and even told me that I was right and that it wasn't working, you know, but I wouldn't say that we were unhappy for a very long time. I would say that the relationship was kind of in neutral for a while. You know, it wasn't bad. Nothing bad was happening or like some tiny bad things would happen, but just not a lot of good. We were just really more in this neutral place where, you know, I wasn't creating a lot of joy for her and I wasn't giving her a lot of satisfaction and she wasn't giving me a lot of satisfaction. And I think that I drifted before her. And so I think that was a pain point for her in the breakup, is that feeling that it was very abrupt and that what the heck is going on? This person is now going. But I have to say that I think that was a huge part of the closure, was hearing her say like, this was the right choice. And I feel a lot better.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. I think it's a complicated thing, talking to exes, relating with exes. It's a science that I haven't fully dialed in on, but I guess I just wanted to offer to the listeners that, you know, potentially people can come around and do change. There was definitely a point where in this breakup where I thought things are going to be ugly between us. So it was a tremendous sense of relief to have kind of clean closure. And, and in disagreement with my parents, my parents are very adamantly, dogmatically, and I know you've reacted to this, Sarah, that you should never speak to your exes, but I don't believe that. I believe that adults can, be friends and have limited interactions, sort of limited interactions that are, you don't want to take them out to dinner and have a few drinks. That's not what I'm proposing here. I'm saying lunches, coffees, because this person is part of your life for a long time, and it's like weird to never talk to them again.
I guess.
I mean, it depends on the situation, as you've said before. Like if it was a horrible relationship, if it was an abusive relationship, then yeah, why are you going to talk to this motherfucker? Of course. But I'm just saying in the cases where it's not.
Yeah, I mean, more power to you if that's how you roll. It's not how I roll, but whatever.
Fair enough. Well, we're all discovering how we roll, and a little bit more juice I'll just throw on, and this is a big juicy opening. I'm doing a lot of talking,
you've been
so
having a lot going on.
Well, it's gonna probably go out, so I think I can just say it. But the crush came over.
What?
And yeah, she came over to record for Keith and the girl, no less.
You guys are so messy. Oh my God. Okay.
So. And
did they break your breakup too?
Yes, because they follow our tweets, so then they bring us in to report. And so I just want to at least get this in. I know they're going to release their episode before this, but for the listeners who aren't caught up to the full story, is that Keith and the girls successfully predicted that Hannah and I were dating. They assumed we were together, and they were wrong when they assumed it, but then they ended up being right. And so now Keith thinks he's fucking Nosferatu or some shit.
You don't hear that used enough.
I know, right? And so anyway, so she came over to record. So there's some potential drama building there, but then I got to ITA myself. This is brutal. So we were doing what two human beings do when they break up. We were hooking up, and I thought my roommate wasn't home, and so, well, I think that pretty much tells the whole story. We were being extremely loud, and afterwards she was like, yeah, I was home. I texted you. And I was like, I missed.
Super awkward.
I missed it. I'm so sorry that you heard that. Oh God. Oh God.
Boy. And now you have to move out.
I have to move out. I don't know what to do. I'm like, should I buy her cookies? I feel like a monster. I was like, you should have knocked on the door or something, but I'm like, clearly.
No, you just don't speak of it again. Apologize and never speak of it again, and then don't do it again.
I did apologize. Was I out of line saying, you should have knocked, you should have done something?
Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, because
she texted you. That's it. That's all you can do. Or just maybe bang on the wall. But
yes,
I wouldn't want to announce myself that way.
Well, but yeah, and then I was like, just be direct, and you're not direct. So I don't know. And then she was like,
it's not her fault for not dealing with your fuck up in a direct manner. I mean, it was pretty direct. She texted you.
Hold on. Let me see. Because I really did. The text actually isn't crystal clear that she had come home. So
what does it say?
It just said, because I took her dog out because I didn't want the dog to bark during the podcast.
Okay.
So the text doesn't say I'm home, so I missed it. I missed the signal. I mean, I could see how that would be the intent there. Anyway, I just feel uncomfortable.
Wait, so what did the text say then? If she didn't say she was home?
It just said, thanks for taking the dog out. Did he poop when you were out with him?
I mean, it implies that she's home, but that's a little passive aggressive, but whatever. Not even aggressive. It's just straight up passive.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know. Well, and I don't even know if I saw the text, to be honest. I think my phone was on silent. So,
right.
Ooh, I can't believe she heard me say the things I said.
Oh my God. Just never speak of it again.
Never speak of it again. I don't ever want to think about it again. And folks, I'm sorry to make you think of it, because it's time for, we got to thank our new patrons, Lindsay and Cal. Welcome to the Judge Judy's. We love to have you. Now it's time for a little bit of Guess the Verdict. Here we go. AITA for completely ignoring my father's girlfriend.
Ignoring. I mean, I'm going to assume that she's being an asshole. I would go ESH.
You would think, but you would be very wrong. And you would get the gender wrong. Isn't this interesting? He, OP, is one of two twins, identical twins.
Wait, why would I have gotten the gender wrong? I assumed OP was a male.
She. Oh, I thought you said she.
She is I assumed the girlfriend was being an asshole.
No. So these are identical twins.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Oh, no. Yeah. So you're closer. You're closer than I thought you were. Yes. Because the father's girlfriend is kind of the asshole. She consistently gets their names wrong. And OP wasn't really crystal clear as to how similar they look, how widespread of a problem this is. I feel like they could have dialed it a little bit more to just have us see her side.
I mean, they're identical twins. Like, how different can they really look?
Drastically different. Drastically.
Identical?
I mean, yes, Sarah. You can, if you're identical twins, you can have the same face, but you can have distinctive styles. You can do makeup differently. You can.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, they're identical, so they look similar, but like my friends who are identical twins look way different enough that you can tell.
Right. Well, and you have a place of empathy here because you are a fraternal triplet.
No, I don't. If you can't tell me and my siblings apart, you are literally blind.
All I know is that you guys are all born at the same time, and that's freaky as hell. You're part of a freaking litter.
Okay.
Anyway, the twins have a little thing they've been starting to do. They purposefully ignore father's girlfriend until she gets their name right, and the GF gets pissed because she says it's just an honest mistake. But I gotta say, they're just waiting for her to say the right name. There's only 2 names. I don't really feel like they're putting her out there.
Shot.
Right. So what's the problem?
Yeah.
So top comment, E. Numerelish writes, NTA, she's going for a power play.
Interesting. AITA for calling the cops on a 12-year-old.
Wow. I cannot. I don't want to even imagine a situation where OP is not the asshole. I mean, this just seems insane on a 12-year-old. I mean, this would just be purposeful trolling because you're calling it on. You're sicking the cops on them is how I read that. I'm not going to be complicated here. That is also very hard for me to come for a child, so I'm not going to go ESH. I'm going to go YTA.
Yeah, I totally thought that too. And
wow.
The world in which OP is not the asshole is OP does not live in the US. So basically the gist is that OP's son is like friends with a bad kid who bought something called an Xbox kicker, which Danny, I probably don't need to explain this to you, but for the listeners, apparently you can just boot people off their Wi-Fi. So this kid has just been booting people left and right.
He's been booting people off their, I don't understand, whose Wi-Fi?
Off their own Wi-Fi. It's like some, I guess, thing where you can go log in with your Xbox and then kick people off their Wi-Fi networks.
Their own personal Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Wow, what a little monster. This little punk.
Right. So OP called the school, and basically once they heard this kid's name, they were like, oh, call the cops. OP did, and the cops are going to talk to the kid, and the top verdict was NTA.
Wow, that story had so much. I mean, first it was international, but honestly in the US that would fly too, because I'd be like, that's definitely criminal behavior. You're booting people off their own networks.
It is criminal for sure.
That is madness. AITA for telling a friend he shouldn't get a job in a field he wants and that his attitude is horrible.
NTA.
NTA is correct.
Yes.
Well done. You didn't even explain your logic. Was that just a shot in the dark?
I was just like, I'm not going to overthink it. That's it.
Here's the deal. OP is a librarian. They describe the state of the library. Essentially, we've all seen the tweet about how if someone proposed libraries now, people would dismiss it as some kind of socialist nightmare.
I haven't seen that tweet, but that is true.
And that is what's happening in libraries, which OP is cool with.
Oh my God. What's wrong with people?
They explain that lots of homeless people come into the library and drug users occasionally. And if they're the OP says that if, they're being a pain in the ass and they're making problems for people, then yes, they kick them out. But otherwise, they don't. And the rules are the same. It doesn't matter if you're homeless or not. Friend opines that that's disgusting and said that the library was for, quote, good people only.
No.
OP pushes back, says the job's not for you. Friend goes on social medias, says some vague post about people who try to ruin your goals. Mutual friend pops in, reaches out, says OP was rude.
What?
Top comment, Darcysaurus _Rex, NTA, crap attitudes don't get you anywhere in life. Sucks that he can't see that. So that's 1 point for Sarah, 0 points for me.
AITA for not paying my share of gas.
Oh, God. Well, I'm just going to do what you did and just shoot an NTA right off the hip and pray.
Ooh, you're wrong.
Damn it, I lost.
Yeah, so OP was big YTA. Basically, This was pre-COVID. So OP went to a bachelorette party where some people lived in the area, some people had to fly in. OP had to fly in. one part of the itinerary was a 30-minute drive away. And so one girl decided to drive everyone. And she's like, no worries, you can just pay me for the gas whenever, which like sidebar, what is your gas for a 30-minute drive? It's probably $10. And this is like a bachelorette party. So it was like 10 people. OP said that wasn't fair since she already flew there and spent money on the flights. The girl driving is like, well, I'm driving everyone around, so I should be compensated. And then OP just didn't pay for gas. So the top comment was, YTA, it's not this girl's fault that the bachelorette party you all agreed to attend was nearer to her than you, and you never discussed this, well, you should drive us for free arrangement beforehand, YTA. I would also gather that, like, if I were the driver, I would just be like, okay, if you don't want to pay for gas money, then you can take an Uber by yourself.
Right.
People are too passive aggressive. Anyway.
Right. I don't know. I mean, I remember those days in my life where like my friends were poor and I was poor and it was uncomfortable. It really was. I remember a situation where we traveled with someone, out of state, and this one person in our comedy group, like, kind of kept asking us for money, and I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, I don't have enough money to give. This is like the day. Remember the days in college when you had like $100? You just had $100 fucking dollars.
When I thought $7 was when I thought $100 was like so much money gonna last me forever.
Yeah, I'm flush. I got $100, guys. We can have the weekend of our lives. But yeah, it's an uncomfortable thing. But yeah, I guess I would say it's not fair that approach. That feels like a have a conversation approach. Like, guys, I'm legit destitute. You gotta throw away your dignity and not try to double down on like you don't have to pay.
I mean, but like also spending more money just to get to an event doesn't like absolve you of having to pay for stuff once you get there. Like, that's not how it works.
No, they had no grounds to stand on, and it just they did not have the moral high ground there. But you know who does have the moral high ground? We do, and we also have one heck of an ep. I take that back. I have no moral high ground. I'm an absolute monster, ridden with guilt right now. Our second story of the day: AITA for wanting to get rid of a dog my wife bought because we can't afford it. But first, would I be the asshole if I refused to go to my daughter's wedding because my wife isn't invited by you? Deleted. Yes, people, this isn't even on the freaking internet anymore.
Dramatic.
I never wanted children. I was always careful, always wore a condom, but somehow I ended up getting my ex pregnant. You hate to hear it. I begged her.
You do.
I begged her to abort or to consider adoption, but she wanted to keep the pregnancy. We ended up moving in together, and I met my wife around the same time. We were in the same friend group, and I was instantly very attracted to her. I guess people call it an emotional affair. I told her about my problems, and she was supportive and believed if a woman could abort, a man should have the right to walk away. Oh boy. My ex gave birth to twins, and I stayed for the first 6 months, but honestly, I just didn't love them.
Whoa. What the fuck?
Okay. I didn't want to be a father. The feelings weren't there, and I was becoming very depressed. I hated my life, and I think if I stayed, I would have ended up severely depressed or an alcoholic. My wife graduated around that time and was moving back to Cali. We were in New York, so it was across the country. She said I should come with her and start over. She said something that really stuck with me about how if I don't walk away now, I can't do it in 5 years, and right now is the moment to hurt my kids the least. I told my ex that it wasn't working, and I didn't want to be a dad. I moved to Cali and married my wife, but I paid all of my child support, paid for their education, extracurriculars, etc. When the twins were 18, they wanted to meet me, and I felt ready. My son and I built a good relationship, but my daughter hates my wife. She wants her to apologize for telling me it was all right to leave, which obviously, even if she did say that, I made the decision. My daughter is getting married and recently said my wife is not invited. I told her that is incredibly disrespectful and you can't invite half of a couple. She said she is selfish and evil and just said those things so I'd move with her. I fully paid for this wedding, which I probably wouldn't have if I knew this ahead of time, but I told her I will not publicly disrespect my wife. AITA.
Okay, I really had to reread this because at first I was like, oh wow, the mom gave him permission to walk out, and then I was like, wait, but they stayed married the whole time, and I got so confused. Okay, so basically the now wife convinced him that was the best time to walk out. I wonder what the mother of his children thought about that.
Well, I'm sure she was incredibly outraged.
I mean, I would be.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is very, very complicated, and he didn't really go into, you know, the fact, like, there's definitely a story here in the fact, like, how did this go down? Because because, like, I don't know, if she was just like, I'm having kids. First of all, this is a conversation you have, obviously, before you get someone pregnant, because of course you do. What are you, crazy? And you say, well, if you got pregnant, what will we do? And they give you that answer. And then
I know we've had this conversation like so many times where it's just like, you really should consider that and explicitly discuss it before like shit hits the fan.
Right. You really should get in there. But I also grant that, you know, when a woman is pregnant and when the rubber hits the road, and we're not talking about the concept of abortion, and now we're talking about actually killing, you know, the sort of growing creature inside of you, that can be very different, and that can lead to a change of heart. And I get that. And I think, though, I also can understand OP's position. However, I don't agree with his course of action. I do think it's wrong. I think it's understandable, but to completely extricate himself from these kids' life, I don't like it.
I mean, I have a problem with his attitude because it's very transactional. Like, okay, congrats, you want snaps because you weren't a deadbeat, but like just paying, like throwing money at someone every month obviously isn't a substitute for like the trauma of growing up without a parent.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like, yeah, you don't get a cookie for doing what is like required of you by the court. I mean, I don't know if like paying for their education would count. I'm sure that's going like a bit above and beyond, I guess, but you can't just throw money at this problem.
I don't know how much I can hinge this on that. I don't like the way he just ran away. It doesn't seem right. It really doesn't seem right. Doesn't it seem like everything I've said about parental duty, those are your kids. I mean, I'm trying to think, like, in a sense, right, the person that I can see that I think is kind of not asshole-ish to be like, look, lady, you did this to me. You're having our kids. That's a choice that you're making. And I disagree with that choice, but I respect that choice. And now I'm going to have kids. However, I don't like you because now you screwed me over with these kids. But I don't think that absolves you of your parental duties. So for him to just walk away and move across the country, that feels very wrong and selfish to me.
Yeah, it's
I'm
pretty
not comfortable
fucked up
with that.
I mean,
it is fucked up.
It is selfish because you're hurting the kids, and like I can attest nearly personally that being a single mom with twins would be like, I mean, so incredibly difficult that you cannot really put into words. So
right.
Yeah.
And I think,
should he have stayed at his own detriment? I don't know. I'm not the person to make that call. It's like not a good decision either way.
Right. I mean, look, I think it's the nature of the beast. You play with fire, and look, I'll say it. We have sanitized sex very much, especially in like liberal, leftist, you know, pro-choice culture. But like the reality is that sex is serious business, and things like this happen. And I don't agree with this notion that, you know, if a woman can abort, a man should have the right to walk away. Well, I do believe he should have the legal right to walk away. I believe this is how the law should treat him.
The problem is that it's like, who's telling you, oh, if she can abort, you have the right to walk away? It's not the person who's having your kids. It's the person, it's your mistress. Like, it's the person you're having an affair with. So that's total bullshit because you're just going along with the person who's already telling you what you want to hear, who obviously does not have like a vested interest in what's going on.
Right.
In fact, she has an interest in fucking up your situation. So like, come on, that's insane.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of her. I don't think that's right. Hey, come join me because you're unhappy, because you're depressed, you know.
Yeah, like that woman is being just as selfish. And like, yeah, what she's saying is like, I mean, it's like logical, but it's kind of like, okay, well, you're just going with the person who's giving you an out because you want it. Like...
Right, he wanted an out. I mean, I guess what I'm kind of stuck on, and I think it's an interesting question, does this make you an asshole? I mean, I guess I feel like it does. It's such it's a tall bar, you know, if and I don't really want to use the word trapped because I guess it's like, you know, this woman trapped him in the situation, but I already think that's starting to get a little delusional. You know, she didn't trap you. You signed up for this, you know, and that's what I'm kind of getting on about, you know, not to get all religious sounding, but there is a sanctity of sex and it's powerful. Damn it. It can make a kid, and you made the kid. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I don't think, look, I'm saying you should have the legal right. I just don't think it's ethical to piece the F out just because you're depressed and, I'm going to become an alcoholic. I think this is what an asshole would do.
I mean, I think being stuck between a rock and a hard place doesn't absolve you from, I don't know, it doesn't mean like, oh, you can come out with your hands clean. And that's kind of what he thinks.
Right.
It's like, we can acknowledge that, like, you were stuck between two, I don't know, unfavorable scenarios. And just because you chose one, it doesn't mean like, oh, well, he's good because the alternative was XYZ. It's like, okay, you still have to live. Like, there are still consequences and people are getting hurt. And so that part makes you the asshole.
Exactly. And like, I don't see any mitigation steps here. It seems like you really pieced out. I mean, the first 6 months, ugh.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks because you can't, I don't know really how much you can compromise in this kind of situation, but
well, I can see a compromise. You could say, well, stay, I'll stay while they're very young, but I guess that's the hardest part.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I mean, again, it's a tough situation, and like, but just because you were in a tough situation doesn't mean that, like, everything's all good.
Right. Yeah, tough. This is very tough. Melanie M writes, YTA, if you didn't want kids as much as you said and that men should be able to walk away if women can get an abortion, you should have gotten a vasectomy. Yeah, but I mean, it's kind of a woulda, coulda, shoulda. Sure.
I love when men just act like, oh, they have no recourse or possible way of like controlling this outcome that they don't want. And like in this case, it's like, okay, you knew you didn't want kids. You could have just whatever. You could have done this or like thought of a more permanent solution if this was really how far you were willing to go to not have to be a father. So
very true. Laura P writes, haha, YTA, you willingly footed the bill. So now we're on the wedding. He paid for the wedding. Yeah. You willingly footed the bill, but it isn't your wedding. She can invite who she wants and you're her parent. So act like an adult. And that's why I think we had to go into this backstory because look, dad is showing up. He is paying for the education. He's paying for the wedding. So in certain ways, he has unquestionably been supportive. But the question is, does he deserve to have his wife invited? I kind of feel like... No?
I don't think so. Like, I mean, I just think if I were the daughter, like, I would not invite the woman who encouraged my dad to abandon my family to my wedding.
Yeah, but I guess I feel like that's not a good reason because it's like he's a grown man. He left. He's the leaver. He's the one who left. So then don't invite him and don't have him in your life if it's so unforgivable. She said what she said. I guess for me, the stronger argument is, how do you think my mother is going to feel looking at this woman on the day of her daughter's wedding? Fuck
That's
you, Dad.
Very Godfather-esque, and also I could go with that too.
That to me is more compelling. Sarah W writes, NTA for leaving. Oh boy. You're right. It is better for you to have left earlier versus destroying them in the middle of their childhood.
Like, I can agree with that sentiment, but like, I don't know, I think I've already expressed my views on it, so.
I guess.
There's no good time to abandon your kids, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Perfectly put. There's never a time where everyone's like, oh yeah, no, that's fine. They were 9.
Thank God.
Oh, yeah, they're 9. They're good. Sierra B writes, why would your wife want to go to the wedding of one of the children she encouraged you to walk out on? YTA, but not for the reasons you think, much bigger reasons, even bigger asshole. I see some of that there. It's really...
Why would she want to be there? That's like incredibly awkward.
Top Reddit comment, Wallaby in training. Great handle. Are you the asshole for not going to the wedding if your wife isn't welcome? No. Is you're the daughter the asshole for not inviting your wife? No. Sounds like she doesn't have any relationship with your wife, so I can understand she doesn't want her there. You had the chance to introduce your wife to your daughter for several decades, but decided you didn't want that. So that one is on you. Are you the asshole for suddenly deciding you want to teach your daughter, the one you abandoned, what is and isn't disrespectful and who she must invite to her wedding? Yes. YT. So here's...
I kind of liked that.
Yeah, what I think is so funny here is that once again, OP is abandoning his children because of this fucking woman. That's what this is. And he needs to put away the ego and put away whatever it is and say, look, you're not invited. It's normal that you're not invited. You are a homewrecker. You are perceived to be a homewrecker by the mother of these kids. And I don't know why you would even want to go. I think that's very fair. And that's it. You got to put that away. If you're not going to be at this girl's wedding, fuck you big time.
I wouldn't even bring the homewrecker into it. I'm just like, okay, this is your daughter that you're trying to rebuild a relationship with. This is her wish, and
Right.
you have to respect it, or else there's no point in trying to build this relationship. And I would leave it at that.
Exactly.
It's like, for once, you have to choose what your daughter wants over what your wife wants. And this seems to be like a good time to do that.
It's a no-brainer. It's one bad night. It's literally one bad night for her.
Yeah.
She'll get over it. Who cares?
Yeah.
Whatever.
It's a wedding. It's not that serious.
It's not that serious.
Like, it is serious, but it's just like, all right, you can be without your wife at one wedding.
You can.
I've been doing it for a year. Just kidding. Only one of my friends has gotten married.
I think this is a no-brainer. I mean, I think he should be there. I think to get all huffy about this is ridiculous. So, I think we agree. Would I be the asshole if I refused to go to my daughter's wedding because my wife isn't invited? I'm saying YTA.
I am also saying YTA.
Guys, please rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. We really appreciate that shit. It really does take about a minute or so. I'm done lying. It does take a minute.
Yeah,
but
stop lying to the people.
I'm not gonna lie anymore. I was saying it takes literally 1 second. That was crazy. I don't know what was going. I mean, I was going through a lot. You guys remember I was going through a lot back there, and now that I've sobered up a little bit from the emotions, it does take some time. But here's the thing: we'd also appreciate your support on Patreon. We're having so much fun. We've got a great little community on there. We've got a rolling call-in show. Join. We'll sign you up. Sarah and I will talk to you for 20 minutes. We get to know you. That was cool. Remember when you had someone on and they were like, "Wow, I can't believe I'm really talking to you guys." That was the most important I've ever felt in my entire life.
Honestly, same.
I was like, trust me, you could literally call me right after this. I have like 3 friends.
No one's calling me.
no one's called me.
I have 3 friends.
Today. You can sign up at patreon.com/AITAPOD. AITA for wanting to get rid of a dog my wife bought because we can't afford it. This is not a true AITA, and I'm legally required to disclose this by the Securities and the Securities and Subreddit Administration. That's a bad finance joke. Anyway, it's from a post from our relationship advice. Thank you, Sarah. My 40M wife, 37F, just bought a dog while I was away, despite me repeatedly telling her not to. We've been married for 12 years. I'm the owner of a major tech shop in a major U.S. city. Opened it in my mid-20s, just about a year before I met my wife. We have a daughter, 10F. She's our only kid. For this story, we'll call her Erica. Erica wants a dog. For the past 2 years, begging to get a Labrador. She says it's her dream. Whenever she asks me, I told her we can't afford it. We spend 90% of our earnings on bills. I also told her that most dogs, including labs, need to be walked every day. Erica said that she'll be able to handle it. But come on, every kid who wants a dog says that same line. Wife disagrees, says we should let Erica get a lab, claims Erica has good grades in school, doesn't ask for much, and that it's Erica's dream. I explained it costs several grand per year to own the breed Erica wants. We don't have that much income. My store has also taken a massive hit from coronavirus. I don't know if you've heard of it. Also, who would walk the dog every day? Erica's too young, especially during a lockdown. I certainly don't want to, and I don't think my wife will want to either. Erica can't walk alone. After I discussed this with her, she seemed a little uneasy about it, but agreed. I went to the groceries the other day, and when I came back, a lab was staring at me. What the hell did you do?
How did this dog break into our house?
What the hell did you do? I yelled at my wife. I told you we can't afford a dog. They already named the dog Riley, and my wife explained she'd been researching animal shelters behind my back for the past few weeks, not once asking or valuing my opinion. I was furious. It turned out she didn't even buy the dog anything except 3 bags of dog food and 1 bowl. No bed, no leash, no toys. So she got a dog, but nothing else that you actually need to own a dog. I told her we have to send him back. The thing is, Erica is so connected to Riley, and she's been asking the dog for so long that if she finally got one and then it was taken away from her, she'd be devastated. I told Erica what has to happen. She broke down. She says that if I return the dog, she'll never speak to me again. My wife said the dog is staying no matter what. She already paid a $175 adoption fee without asking. Riley has nowhere to sleep, no toys. If Riley ever had a health issue, we need to visit the vet. We probably wouldn't be able to afford it. We'd have to give up something else we wanted. I do not want a dog. I don't have the means to care for one. However, there's a dog in my house right now. I have no idea what to do, and I will be fucked over no matter what decision I make. Please help me do what is best for my family. AITA.
Oh boy. I mean, this is bad.
I
love that he's like, most dogs have to get walked once a day. I'm like, no. All dogs have to get walked at least once a day.
Yeah, totally.
This is a bigger responsibility than even you think.
You got to walk these little puppers. Now,
Labs, like, so much.
I got to come for the obvious person here. There's no way I'm walking away from this without calling wife the asshole. She's the asshole. She is an asshole. How dare she make a decision that is going to mutually impact their finances, their family. They're scraping. There's a little bit of scraping. 90% of your earnings on bills, that is a tight margin. I'm not comfortable with that at all.
Yeah, like, how bad with finances is this lady that she can't see that this is going to nuke the family's finances?
Things are tight, and that's objective. The real problem and the sin of wife is that she completely disrespected her partner. She completely went behind his back, and she did something unilaterally without his input, without considering him, and that is plain and simple an asshole move.
100%.
However, and I'm surprised here. I thought, man, maybe you'll definitely come with me on this, but I have some problems with OP. Claims they can't afford the dog. They can't afford the dog. But then he kind of doubles back and he says, well, if the dog had a vet issue, right, we wouldn't be able to afford it. And then clarifies, we'd have to give up something else we wanted, right?
Interesting.
My point here is, what does afford really mean, right? People have different tolerances about these things. Now, for me, I'm a little bit of a squirrel. If anyone asks me, I'm spending 90% of what I earn, I'd be like, whatever you're doing, you got to not do that. That's insane.
Right.
That is way too high of a number.
Honestly, I agree.
Right? Like, and I think most people would agree with me.
Unless you're like making a low salary and really living paycheck to paycheck, hey, not going to come for you. If you have disposable income and just choose to spend all of it, I would maybe say, I don't know, perhaps that's a little short-sighted.
Right. But the reality is here, I think these people are in a tough situation. I think a lot of Americans are in a tough situation, and I'm going to run for president. So, no, what I'm going with here is, the thing is, look, they're already not saving very much money. Things are already tight, and I think it's wrong what the wife did. However, we don't know the full story because I see a lot of rigidity with dad. He's not really explaining how tight this is. I mean, after all, yeah, the dog did cost $175 adoption fee, and dog food costs what?
That's pretty cheap for a dog.
That's pretty cheap. And that's where I was going. In this dark time, we're in a time of hopelessness. I think that, and this girl has been asking for the lab for years, and we all know about dads who initially resist dogs and eventually come to love the dogs.
Yes.
I see that, look, fine, Riley has nowhere to sleep and no toys to play with. This is another $100, and I know it's tight for them.
Probably
I get
more,
it.
but I don't really know.
OP, honestly, listeners,
I don't know how much dog beds cost, but like, sure.
Yeah, well, whatever, $150. Like, OP really emphasizes how they can't afford it like 100 times, and we actually edit some of them out. But look, they can't afford it. They can find the hundo. If Riley has a health issue and they got to go to the vet, yes, they're going to have to give up something else they wanted. If Riley needs a complicated surgery that costs $3,000, they're going to let him die. I get it. But
God.
I'm just saying, and where I landed right away on this is that I think that OP is also the asshole, because I don't think that he really realizes what this means. And I know Erica is young, but I think this dog has a potential to bring a lot of joy. And I think he was being rigid about what afford is. We didn't hear about any of the wife's arguments. So what is she just like, whatever, what's money? Money's not real. She had reasons. This was a priority for her. I think OP was being rigid and wouldn't own it.
At first, I'm like taking this guy at his word. And my thought is, if you can't afford a dog, like, don't get a dog, because the dog is going to get sick. Some shit's going to happen. And then, like, you shouldn't go into debt to take care of a dog. But that being said, okay, I can kind of come with you on this, because this just feels like when you get invited to like a concert or something you don't want to go to and you say you can't afford it, and it's like, you can afford it, you just don't want to spend your money on that.
Exactly. Yeah, it gets a little complicated.
And this feels like kind of like that, where it's like, but then again, I'm kind of like, if you could, just because you could technically afford it, again, I don't necessarily think means that you should get a dog, because like, again, there are going to be unforeseen things that happen with the dog. So like, just because you can technically afford the monthly food and the adoption fee, I don't think is a good enough reason.
I kind of get what wife is going. I wish it was her birthday or something. That would help me feel a little bit more firm about my position. But Taylor A writes, I think your wife is incredibly disrespectful and 1,000% the asshole here, because bringing a dog into the family should not be taken lightly.
I mean, yeah.
Ashton W, NTA, I can't believe even after your brutally honest and transparent conversation about your financial sitch and resources, your wife still went behind your back and made a major purchase, life-altering decision. I don't know. See, I'm going to push back there. That's people trying to move the needle. Is this a major purchase? I don't know. Thousands of dollars a year? I think OP was biting off a little more than he can chew. I don't know. Do you think it cost thousands?
But you only had an outside dog. I mean, my dog one time, he was an American Eskimo, and they have like problems with their eyes. He had to get this like $10,000 surgery where they had to move some of his saliva glands to his eyes so he could produce tears and wouldn't go blind. And then later on, he lost the ability to lose his legs. That shit can add up quickly, and they have pet insurance now, but it's like kind of bullshit.
Well, look, I mean, I think barring...
And also dog food is super expensive. Like,
actually,
just on its own.
I'm ready to push back here, Sarah, big time. I think that, yes, technically things can happen. Your dog can, have 8 tails come out of his back. But look, most dogs, especially if they're young or whatever, we don't know how old the dog is, they're fine for a couple of years. And you also don't have to get them surgery. You let them die. And that's a good lesson for a kid to learn.
I don't know, kind of fucked up.
No, it's
my
not.
Friend, I'll just say the story of my friend's dog, who literally in 1 year lost his eye because another dog attacked him, then had some infected toenail, and like basically just every other week this poor guy was in a cone, and I was like, what happened to this boy now? So I don't know. I don't think you should get anything like a dog that's going to live for like 15 years when you're like in a precarious situation, I guess.
But again, going back to the rigidity and the fact that OP wanted to see this a certain way, I have Googled how much it costs to feed a lab for a year. I'm seeing between $325 to $750. I guess that's not like feeding a tiger. Exactly. He's a good boy. I'm just saying. I think this has a lot of potential. I think, look, there's no question wife's the asshole. Bambi M, is it more that you don't want the dog than you actually can't care for it? Lots of poor people own dogs that are happy and loved. I mean, I guess I could see that too. Like it does kind of seem like OP just really doesn't want the dog, and the easiest excuse is that they can't quote unquote afford it. I will say though, I would be annoyed if I had to walk a dog that I didn't even want. So well, no, and I think it would be fair for OP to say, I ain't walking that dog. You better believe I'm not walking that dog. There you go. Because you got the dog, honey. I'm not picking up the poop. Exactly. Shaylin K, she kind of landed where I did here. ESH, honestly, I think you put the smackdown on the idea so heavily the smackdown that there was no room for discussion. You were completely uncompromising and directly shut down everyone else's wants from the gate. It seems like the deceit was born from having literally no other options. Truly, in my heart of hearts, I would want an info, because it's really like, is OP being super uncompromising, or does OP live with a family of people who have like no interest in spending responsibly, and like OP has to be the bad guy? So, but I could go ESH on you. Well, and I think, look, if he gets rid of the dog, he said the title's AITA for wanting to get rid of a dog, but we'll just call it AITA for getting rid of a dog my wife bought because we can't afford it. I am saying it's not true that you can't afford it. It's that you don't want to afford it. It's like you said with the concert thing, Sarah. I think that was perfectly put. So in that situation, I am saying ESH. Oh, I don't know. That's so complicated. Well, because we always say you're not an asshole for wanting something. Of course not. Right, I know. You're not. But I'm like, are you an asshole for like undoing what someone did behind your back? Yeah, I guess it depends who's asking. Well, because Erica's attached to the dog. I mean, yeah, to the kid, you would definitely be the asshole, but that's a given. Yes, that would be hugely assholeish. It would destroy his daughter.
So the wife, you'd be the asshole, but that's also a given because she went behind his back in the first place.
They can afford it. He was being rigid and uncompromising. He was being a tyrant. They have the dog now. It's coronavirus. There's no joy. Pet the good boy and shut up. It's $60 a month. Damn it.
Pet the good boy and shut up. All right, that's my verdict.
Now it's time for another little ad read. Look, I'll keep it sweet, short and sweet. Guys, rate, review, subscribe. We really appreciate it. Support us on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. Now it's time for everybody's favorite part of the show, AITA for pranking my homophobic neighbor.
Oh boy.
I already got a feeling this is going to be a fun one. I, 15M, live with my parents and my baby bro, and we lived here pretty much my whole life. Everyone knows their neighbors for the most part. Everyone is polite for the most part. The guy who lives next door, though, just sucks. He always seemed kind of rude to me and made a comment for having longer hair. He just seems like a jerk. Anyways, during June, which is Pride Month, my family put a pride flag up by our door. Now, none of us are in the LGBT community or anything, but it's something my parents have done in the last couple of years, and I think it's cool. I don't know many gay people, but I like that it makes people feel welcome and shows that we accept gay people. Anyways, nobody's ever said nothing or had a problem with it until this year. The day after my parents put their flag up, he hangs this giant Trump 2020 flag outside of his house. There's no way of knowing if he did this because our flag, but it felt like it, and it really pissed me off. Even if it isn't, I hate Trump and everything he stands for. So my parents said to just ignore it, but I was really annoyed for a week or two. So one night, I'm home watching episodes of Malcolm in the Middle. Okay, we don't need to know that.
Yes, classic.
Oh, I guess there's relevance here. And there's a part in an episode where Malcolm and Dewey take their baby brother's diapers, attach them to helium balloons, and then release them into the air.
Oh my God.
Malcolm then pushes a remote that causes the balloons to pop and drops the diapers on the unsuspecting people below. So I'm not a genius and I can't wire anything like that, obviously, but I do have a baby brother who has lots of poopy diapers, and my neighbor does have a truck and a mailbox. So I went into the nursery trash can, found 2 particularly disgusting diapers, and put one in my neighbor's mailbox and the other under the windshield wipers of his truck, so when he turns them on, it smears all over his windshield.
Oh, God.
Long story short, got caught. I don't normally do stuff like this. And maybe have gotten 2 detentions in my life. Both were for tardies, but we're the only people on the block with a new baby in the house, and I've been talking about how pissed off I was the last week or so. My parents put 2 and 2 together pretty quickly. I had to apologize to the guy, and I'm grounded for 2 months. I guess I'm not surprised about being grounded, but deep down, I don't think what I did was that bad. My friends say I took it too far, and maybe I did. I understand why I'm in trouble, but I'm really not sorry at all. AITA.
Like, this isn't like a slow escalation of a prank war. Like, this kid just immediately went nuclear.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think OP is really reaching here, and certainly...
That's not even that's barely a prank. I feel like a prank, if this were me, I would slowly just be slightly more in your face and obnoxious. Add an LGBT flag. Okay, next week I'm adding another flag, and then I'm adding another flag that's going to annoy you. And then I'm going to go make out with my girlfriend right in front of your face. And then that's what I would do anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, first of all, I don't think it's necessarily fair to call this guy homophobic. I think, I don't know. I agree. I agree. But I don't think that's a productive way of looking at the world when we get so into everyone who supports Trump is a racist and everyone who supports Trump is homophobic and hateful and all these things. Because, well, look, that shuts down any potential for dialogue, any potential for communication. And I don't think that's productive. I don't think that having a Trump 2020 flag is inherently homophobic. 90% of the time, is that person probably yes, probably, but
I guess I would go more the fact that he can assume it's a direct response, but he can't really know for sure yet. So that's kind of where I'm thinking, and I'm not. I'm not really coming from not all Trump supporters are bad people, blah, blah, blah. I don't really care about that argument. I just am going for more of I don't know, were you just on the lookout for things that confirm a suspicion that you already had? And to me, it's maybe not. You don't know enough. So that's why you got to passive aggressively up the ante to make sure you know for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I just think he's reaching. You're right. He could have just seen the giant flag and been well, I have an opinion about Trump, and...
Right.
So
I mean, the problem is, though, that if you think an LGBTQ flag is a commentary against Trump, then that's kind of the whole, that just exposes your own problems.
That's true. But, he might have
maybe he was if they got a flag, I'm going to put a flag. And I don't really know.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't think we need to be. Look, anyway, we're getting bogged down on this part. The thing is, there's no question here. What you said is correct. This isn't a prank. This is like straight up terrorism, bro. You like put shit on someone's car. You put shit in someone's mailbox. Like, there was nothing clever here. There's just nothing. This really wasn't a prank. This is just a straight up crime. Like, that's just what you did. Is it funny? It's definitely funny, but it's just
like, am I mad at it? No, maybe a little. I don't know, but did this escalate way too quickly? Yeah.
The thing is, antagonizing these people, it's fun, but like, does antagonizing people really ever work? Like, we've been talking about how if you're in these situations with like an abusive parent or whatever, you don't want to antagonize them. It doesn't do anyone any good.
I mean, yeah, the thing is though, like, OP is a 15-year-old and I'm assuming this neighbor is a homeowner. Like, they're not going to have a productive conversation and come to a mutual understanding where they like respect people's humanity, because I don't know, adults, I don't think an adult would, whatever. Anyway, I just don't think it would happen. However,
I agree. You're right.
This was too much too soon.
You're right. I mean, it's really that simple. Erica W says YTA, but also my hero, so it's all good in my book. Chelsea V writes YTA for sure, but sometimes assholes are justified. Ali R, yes, YTA, but honestly, Trump supporters seem to take a lot of pride in being assholes. I think it's hilarious one of them gets a taste of their own medicine. If you were my kid, I'd be proud.
I don't know if I would go so far as to be proud.
No, I wouldn't be proud because
the parents have to deal with this now. Like, they're gonna have to deal with this like annoying neighbor,
right? And I think that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, you're right. Are they gonna have a productive conversation? No. Was there a more productive way to channel this energy? Yes, 1,000,000%. Like, right,
and it would be one thing if like they put up a pride flag and then the next day this guy had a Westboro Baptist Church rally or paraphernalia. Then like, do whatever the fuck you want.
Right. Fish S says, NTA, there's pranks and there's harassment and you have to be careful about the line, but I think you're on the right side morally. I don't think so. I think this is like really, really disgusting and brutal.
I don't think it's like harassment. I just think it's
Amanda S says, NTA, you're 15, you're going to do dumb shit. At least you're doing dumb shit because you believe in something. That's true. If I look at it through a 15-year-old lens, where I'm like, 15-year-olds are assholes. Well, at least this guy's being an asshole to someone who's probably themselves an asshole.
Yeah.
Mia G.
I mean, that's funny.
If you're this triggered at 15, you're going to cause yourself a lot of unnecessary asshole moments. YTA.
No.
I mean, look, OP, I love you. I think you're funny. I mean, I do.
Like, I respect it, but
if there was a tweet that told the story, you better believe I'm liking the shit out of it.
Yeah.
Because it's fun.
However, if you need like advice on how to properly wage a prank war, I'll give you some petty tips.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there's ways to channel energy. You can volunteer for the Dems. You can volunteer at a shelter or whatever. I don't know. I'm not trying to pretend like I'm a good person and I know how to do good things. I'm just saying, channel this energy somewhere. Start a podcast. I don't know what to tell you to do. I'm just saying that throwing shit all over someone's shit it's not a prank. I think you hit the nail on that. That's just throwing shit.
It's not a prank. You just went for this guy. And like, I can respect the reasons behind it, but I don't know, next time be more subtle.
Yeah, I mean, because if that's a prank, then monkeys throwing their own shit at each other is a prank. And I don't think that monkeys are capable of pranks. I think we're going AITA for pranking my homophobic neighbor. I can't come from the neighbor. Look, it doesn't make you an asshole automatically to put out a Trump flag. I would wager that a lot of the people who do are assholes, but I'm not ready to go that far.
You mean like you wouldn't go for ESH?
No, I'm not going for ESH. I think.
Yeah, I'm not going for ESH just because like OP didn't do enough evidence gathering to definitively conclude that the hanging of the flag was a direct response to their hanging of the flag.
Right. Like, you know what? If OP had overheard this neighbor, like, say slurs or say hateful things, then I would be in a different place. But we just have so little of a case against him. All he did was put up a little flag, a big flag, and it is it has bad associations. But I don't
and to be clear, I do not like the flag.
Not a fan. But you know what? It's like, look, if this happened the other way around, and we'll go with a more extreme example, then if the submission was that a lib had put up up like an Antifa flag, you know. And
we don't even have those.
I know, but whatever. There's a symbol or whatever. So then, and then some young MAGA threw shit on their house. I'd be like, yeah, that's you know, I get why you're offended by the flag because Antifa has an association with ignorant people. They think it means something that doesn't. But you're wrong because you threw shit on someone's house and they put a flag up.
Right.
AITA for breaking my homophobic neighbor. OP, we love you. Thanks for listening to pod, but you are the asshole. There's no question about it.
Sorry, but this time, yeah.
Guys, please rate, review, subscribe. Check us out on Patreon, patreon.com/AITA pod. I think we need like 2 more people and then we'll be doing weekly bonus eps, which I'm excited for.
All right.
All right, guys. That's the ep. Thanks so much for tuning in and we'll see you next Monday morning.
All right. Bye.